I was a very ambitious go-getter person. So if I have done all the work, then I should be getting all the credit. So I was not a team player. But life teaches you a lot, and you realize that your existence itself is not a solo effort, it's a collaborative process.
Do you still think there is a little bit of apprehensive when it comes to a all female cast, and like what is it and how do you navigate it? Because like you said, like, there are a lot of
Little bit. Little bit is an understatement. I'm being very
okay.
honest.
How is he in real life? Because you are saying he's not the kind of the Chandigarh Punjabi Munda guy. How is he in real life?
He's a nice guy.
Okay, okay, okay. Hi Tahira, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Tahira, I think I should start off with this. We know you as an author. We know you as an A-list actor's wife. We know a little bit. We know you as a filmmaker. You know, with your short films and the segments you have done. This is the first time you are doing a feature film. I want to know, you know, I want to and you have donned so many hats over the years. I was reading somewhere that you have done radio, you have done teaching, you've done so many things. I don't know what was that particular moment when you realize, okay, this is something I want to do. I have a storyteller in me, and I want to be a filmmaker.
I think it was always a part of me. It was a very inherent desire and a dream to be so, but I didn't have the courage for it. Also, I belong to a middle class family, and from Chandigarh to Dur Dur tak, nobody was from the film industry. And the best possible thing that I could do at that time was theater. So I did 10 years of theater,
Hmm.
and I tried to make my amateur group into a professional one, but then nobody came to buy any ticket for my show. So I realized there's no money in theater, there's no money in street theater or any theater. So now you need to, academically qualify yourself well enough to have a job. It's financial stability meant a lot to me. And
Yeah.
so, which is why then, of course, I took to corporate jobs. I took to Big FM as a programming head. Then, of course, I took to teaching in Bombay. I was a professor at
Yes.
many colleges. But somewhere deep down, I always wanted to I was always a storyteller,
Hmm.
and I was finding mediums to do the same. And I think when all the universal forces came together, I got an opportunity, a window to make my short film. And I was all nerves, all jitters. I don't know how the world will accept it, but my first short film, and it was selected at many, many film festivals across
Yes.
the world.
Yeah.
And physically went for Taiwan International Film Festival. And in back home, it was at the Mami Film Festival as well, and other festivals too, whether it was Sweden or Chicago or everywhere else. But there was a huge validation that I received. There was a validation, when there's a third party who is applauding you and appreciating you, who is not related to you, तो आपको लगता है कि हाँ, that means there's something, there is scope to make a career out of it. And then proceeding, I did make more short films, but there's this feature film, Sharmajee Ki Beti, that I had written.
Yeah.
uh, and though my other short films started getting made, this feature film took time. But it is difficult to make a film based with five women. But I'm just so blessed to have collaborators, and mostly all men, to sort of back this
Yeah.
project up. And it took its amount of years, but I'm just so happy it's found its place at Amazon, and it has been backed up by applause and ellipses, all men. And
Yeah.
just very glad that I did not succumb to the shortcuts of filmmaking or of making a project viable. And I stuck to the vision that I had for the film. It did take time, but it was all worth the wait where it has landed today.
Tara, I want to understand this. Like you started like your storytelling journey with writing, right? Like you used to write books. As a writer and a filmmaker, there's a lot of difference. Like when a writer writes a book, he's the only creator of it. The book mostly is received as it is written, without like a little bit of editing is done by the editors. A film is a very collaborative medium, right? Like a lot, you have to talk to a lot of people, a script is interpreted multiple ways by the sound designer or the cinematographer and everybody. I want to understand, how do you like navigate between the both? Like, do you feel like yo, ये मेरा script है, ये बाहर जाएगा, इसको like how will it change? Okay, are you like little like very close to your material, or are you fine with it? Okay, maybe like it can be interpreted. How do you navigate these two things?
I am very collaborative as a person now. So I think as a
Okay.
part of your journey, I think also at times few things take time in life is also because you're not inherently prepared for it. Also at times things happen to you at a time when you've learned something. So I
Hmm.
was initially I was not a team player. So in all my jobs that I
Okay.
did, I was a nerd and I
Hmm.
was a very ambitious go-getter person. So if I have done all the work, then I should be getting all the credit, you know. So I was not a team player. But life teaches you a lot, and you realize that your existence itself is not a solo effort, it's a collaborative process. You exist in collaboration with people, you know, your life is happy because there are collaborative forces behind it.
Are you strict on set? Are you strict on set?
I'm not, I'm very
Like
sure.
because you're saying, that
No,
you
like I
were
said,
not
I've
present
changed.
there.
So I've
Okay.
changed. Like I said, so in my
Okay.
20s, I was like very this thing,
Okay.
very right and wrong. Sara kaam kiya to karna.
Uh,
So, and then you change and then you learn and you do different jobs and you realize that it's very important to be collaborative. So now, today, if Tahira of today of 2024, I'm extremely collaborative. So, and I also find the different formats of different mediums very, very interesting and challenging. So, writing books is a different format completely,
yeah.
and films is a different format, and podcast is a different format. And in
Yeah.
fact, what I'm doing on my social media, which is stories in my head, just short
Yeah.
snippets, the thoughts, that even that's a different format. So I just feel that every medium has a different format and need to respect and learn the trick of the
Yeah.
trade. And I find that very challenging and very interesting, and it also helps me push. But on set now, I'm very very collaborative. In fact, I find it very interesting when there are a lot of people who have a different opinion on the same piece of art, on the same piece of work, and how
Yeah.
to interpret it is very different. At times, of course, it's very very interesting. At times, it can be challenging because तुम्हें समझ क्यों नहीं आ रहा कि मुझे ये vision
Yeah.
so
Yes.
that also happens.
Yeah.
But it's something that I love doing. It's something that I want to do for the rest of my life.
Talking about Sharmajee Ki Beti, it's a story which is across three generations. Okay, like there are kids also, there are middle-aged women. I want to know, like, is this idea from life, or where did it come from? Like, what was the first idea that came into your head? Like, what were you trying to tell with this story?
I was trying to tell the first and the foremost thing is that women do exist beyond 30 and below 20 also. And they have interesting and compelling
Yes.
stories. We don't disappear from the face of the earth as it's shown in
Yeah.
in cinema. 30 and beyond
Hmm.
तो एकदम lost cause होते हैं, losers,
Yeah.
कुछ भी नहीं है. And 20 से पहले भी exist नहीं करते. So I
Yeah.
really wanted to cover the spectrum and also show that we have compelling, interesting, engaging, funny, quirky stories as well. It's not always that everybody is a mother India. Not everybody, a woman is going to go on a march, you know, and revolutionary कि हमने यही करना है. I mean,
Yeah.
different ways of portraying the same thing, but my main idea was to sort of tell the world that we exist across the spectrum and we have some compelling, interesting stories which you might like as well. So just give us a
Yeah.
chance. And so, which is why all these women have their little age specific or their gender specific, specifically some issues, and they might not be larger than life. They might not be going out wearing a cape and saving the world, but they're definitely wearing a dupatta and saving the day for their lives. You know, so I'm just
Yeah.
saying that they have very very small issues, very small problems, but how they deal with it, it's nuanced and it's very it's heartwarming. It's a fuzzy film.
Yeah. I remember watching Quarantine Love, which was part of a segment of Feels Like Ish, and this one image has stuck in my head where the main character, when it's the first time the girl she takes off her mask, all this while we have been seeing her eyes, and you expect her to be a very conventionally good-looking girl, and then she reveals, and it's a very nice, sweet. She's wearing braces and she's a very normal girl, and there is a very nice beauty in that. this just makes me think, how do you see as character, like how do you see your characters, how do you see female characters, being, because female characters in other, like usually in cinema, are either for glam, or as you said, are just like they're after 30 there is no character that is there. How do you see characters, like where do these characters come from, like is it coming from life, or are you formulating, like what is the creation of a Tahira Kashyap character?
It's a very inherent desire for inclusivity, for
Okay.
to appreciate women and not typecast them. My idea will always be to unbox how we are already so boxed. So yes, it was a very small thing, very small detail, but I'm just so glad you noticed it, because you do expect अब
Yeah.
वहाँ से निकलेगी, अब hood परी निकलेगी,
Yes.
ऐसा सब
Yeah.
कुछ हो जाएगा, and out comes
Yeah.
a nerdy girl with braces, you know.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
the love story still goes on, and
Yes.
if it reaches your heart, then my job is done, and that's exactly my job. That everybody doesn't need to be a certain type to reach and your tug your
Yeah.
heartstrings. They are different people, we are different women. Some are short, some are tall, some are fat, some are thin, some with braces, some
Yeah.
without, some with specs, some not. So don't put us in a mold, because each of us have a compelling
Yes.
story to tell. Just give us a chance. So that was the thing.
And does, like most for writers, their spouses or their partners are their first readers. Does Ayushmann like read your scripts and like give opinion on it? Do you have creative discussions? Maybe you might have an opinion about his acting or how good projects he's taking. How are these discussions like? Like how does it go between you two? Like when it comes to creative discussions, do you guys agree with each other, or maybe you don't? Like how is it?
We agree, and then we also agree to disagree. So
Okay.
that is the beauty, or the mutual respect that we have for each other's opinions. So
Ah,
everything that he does might not be to my liking, and every story that I write now might not be to his liking, but nonetheless we absolutely bounce off all our scripts off each other. It's very important for me to get his point of view, and I'm very glad and happy that he also feels the same. So we do reach each other's material. Whatever scripts are offered to him, I do happen to read it. I do have my opinion. Now whether he takes it or not, it's his choice.
yeah.
The same goes with my stuff. Like at times he says, I'm okay about this, but I feel very strong about, like, I want to put it across, and I do it any which
Yeah.
way. But nonetheless, his opinion does matter to me, and it's very valuable for me.
What was his take on Sharmajee Ki Beti? Like
He
when he
loved
read
it.
the script,
He
he
loved
liked
it.
it.
He loved it. And I think that little encouragement and that belief, and of course, he is my husband, but I respect him as an artist. He has a great choice in
Yes.
scripts, the kind of scripts that he's chosen for himself. It's a different trajectory that he's picked up for himself, and some really path-breaking films, and basis on the scripts, which would probably nobody would have done, but he did, and he's just made an entire cinema around that. So I really respect him for that. And so when that person, and not just your husband, is
Yeah.
really invested, and so then the time that this film has taken to make, that little validation keeps coming in, that this is a good
Yeah.
story. Don't let it go. Don't let it go. So even if it took 5 or 6 years to make it, I think this little buffer, like I said, living itself is a collaborative process. We don't
Yeah.
realize, but it's teamwork everywhere, whether it's professional or personal life. So I'm very glad to have some great team players on my set and off my set.
Do you have a favorite Ayushmann performance? Is there one absolute favorite?
My absolute favorite, very honestly, was Bala. I really think
Okay.
he pushed, and I also loved it as for the film it was. Somehow I just don't look at. Maybe that's how I am, and also because maybe that's my job also.
Yeah.
So I also seeing the filmmaking part of it. I'm also seeing the screenplay
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
All of it is just together for me. It's just not him. So he did a fantastic part, but the filmmaking was so good. The editing, the screenplay was so smooth, and I love the highs and the lows, and how just in the end the little bit of a sermon comes, and it's not sermonizing the entire
Yes.
comedy.
Yeah.
I just love that. And then I also liked Article 15. It was really, it was a good script to pick on, to do that film. So these and personally, if I see from the wife perspective, and I know how much of hard work, what all has gone into it. So that ways I would say action hero, because he really pushed his body
Yes. Yes.
to do
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
Chandigarh Kare Aashiki, because inherently he's a lean person. So just really work out so much and give it your all to being that male that you are not. He's not a Chandigarh Kare Aashiki in real life at all. But to play that role so convincingly that मेरे को
Yeah.
थोड़ी चिट लगी थी कि मैंने कहा, I can't talk to this egg eating person, you know. No, this is not my choice. But he
Yes.
was so much into his character. So that ways I would say that these are the efforts that really he defied his body type to actually do
Yeah.
this. But in terms of acting, I told you the other ones.
How is how is he in real life? Because you are saying he's not the kind of the Chandigarh Punjabi Munda guy. How is he in real life?
He's a nice guy.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
He's a nice guy who likes my feminist stories, which goes on to show what kind of guy he is. Yeah.
Okay, Tahir, coming back to Sharmajee Ki Beti, I want to know, I want to understand, when you're writing a feature script, and I was reading that it took you some while, like 15, 20 drafts were there, and the process was long. Like, how was the process of writing this script? The first time you're writing a feature film script, and like, what was the process? Like, how was the process of making it?
Yeah, the process was very gratifying. I loved writing this film. But the challenging part was, of course, the making of it. And I went draft after draft. Of course, you reach a draft that you feel sure now it's ready to shoot.
Yeah.
But then there are other factors which come into being. Seeing the viability of a project with five women, it becomes difficult. So you're given funny, weird suggestions, to sort of,
Okay.
you know make it into a love story, and these five women can be the sidekicks or subplot B,
Okay.
or try to have a male protagonist do a special appearance or some such. I mean, these are all the commercial things, and then you just
So these are the suggestions you're getting from people to do
from
this.
from the collaborators that came on
Yes.
board, and finally they were not on board. So whoever
Okay.
has been a part of this journey has
Yes.
inherently believed in the script that I had to offer. And then, when of course you have to make it possible, and so there are various people who are coming in to be the studios behind it, or the people who are going to
Yeah.
pump in the money, and then they have these weird suggestions, and then you have to really at times succumb and write because you want it to happen, and then you deep down praying that this doesn't get greenlit, and thankfully it didn't. So which is why so many drafts. And I can tell you that the film that I shot was one of the initial drafts that I had written, which is so
Okay.
true to the vision that I had. I'm just so grateful for that, that even though there were so many drafts that were made, um, of course, drafts after drafts, they keep getting made when you are just
Yes.
the final touches, the finesse, and it keeps happening even till the time you're shooting on set.
Yes.
Few changes that keep happening. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that the temptations that were coming in so that the film gets made before the 5 6 period years that it has taken to make. But I'm glad I didn't take that road. I'm just glad I didn't give them to those temptations, and I'm glad it has taken the time it has, and I'm glad the collaborators who are on board, because they're the true believers, including Applause, Ellipsis, and Amazon. And I'm just so glad they're liking the stories of these five women, and they find it interesting enough to put it on the platform. So I'm very happy.
Tara, you were saying that a lot of collaborators were coming and they were saying maybe you should put a male character or these women should be side characters. Is there sort of an apprehension still in the industry, because now like Crew has come and Crew has Taboo and a full female cast and a producer is a female. Do you still think, and it made money, like Crew made money in theaters? Do you still think there is a little bit of apprehensive when it comes to a all female cast, and like what is it? How do you navigate it? Because like you said, like there are a lot of
Little bit. Little bit is an understatement. I'm being very
okay,
honest,
okay,
because had that not been an issue, my next film would have been made by now.
okay,
क्योंकि मैं अभी भी नहीं सीखी हूँ.
okay. But you're fighting the good fight, so that's
I'm
nice.
I'm going the full battle. I'm fighting it out. So, but I'm just so glad. I can't tell you, when Crew did well, it was like a personal victory. The tears of joy that this is doing box office numbers.
Yeah.
But you need at least 10 such
Yes.
consecutive crews to work for it to open the gates for other films. And because we're not even coming to middle budget, we're not even coming to those films which don't have stars, we're not even
Yes.
coming to that, so it's a long drawn battle, but there are people who are ready to fight it out. So
On that note, thank you, Tahira, for
thank
speaking to
you.
me. Thank
Thank you,
you. Best
Kartik.
of luck. Best
Thank
of
you
luck
so
for
much.
Sharma
Thank
ji.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.